Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. My 44 meters, wife 41F was recently contacted by her ex-boyfriend / co-writer 36 meters, and I've grown a bit nervous. Hello everyone, let me first start by saying that my wife and I are very open, maybe way too open about our past and past partners and all that. She is my second wife. My first wife was big on fidelity and we broke up over her cheating. The ex and I share a son. My wife also has a daughter of her own from a previous marriage. We've been married for 5 years and our little blended family works well together. TLDR Wife's ex-boyfriend messages my wife about a writing project they worked on years ago. She cheated on her ex-husband with this man about a decade ago. I'm worried old habits will repeat. As I mentioned earlier, we are perhaps too open about our past relationships. Her first husband was a serial cheater. He was a musician and slept around with women from his gigs. She stumbled onto his emails only to learn that he was involved with 5 other women, one of which he'd gotten pregnant. Not wanting their child to grow up in a broken home, she wanted to save the relationship and reached out to one of her old internet friends for advice. We'll call him Chris. The two had been friends for 7 years up until that point but had never met. They were writing partners. In fact, before they lost contact they had been writing a novel together. She tells me that when she reached out for support he was very kind and had actually been recommending a lot of ways to get past infidelity, or what you should speak to an attorney about, in general being a good friend. Somewhere in that they decided to revisit writing their book again. According to her, they would casually flirt, but as they lived on opposite sides of the country they had no means to act. In all this she decided her marriage was dead and stopped trying to fix things. Checked out, I guess. She and Chris expressed mutual attraction and by the end of the year he flew out to meet her. She filed for divorce right after the affair got physical, and Chris moved later that year to be with her. To make a long story short, her daughter, who was only 5 at the time, didn't really take to him. As she says, he didn't do anything wrong, she just wasn't adjusting properly after the divorce and didn't like somebody replacing her father. My wife told him they needed to take a break due to this and due to the fact that he's a bit crass sometimes. She had only intended for it to be a short break, but he was apparently so hurt that he'd moved that far to be turned away 2 months in, and so he broke it off entirely. After months had gone by they reconnected to try and finish their book. They began sleeping together again during this time, but it was just a physical thing. They came close to finishing the book, but she started dating me, thus they stopped sleeping together. She felt weird about having an ex hanging around once she got in a committed relationship, and so by her own admission she stopped returning his emails, which were all book related, with the same frequency, and stopped working on it on her end so much. He grew frustrated after a few months of this and blocked her on everything. Which finally brings us to a month ago. After 4 or 5 years of no contact he messages her out of the blue. He contracted COVID and nearly died. Chris contacted her because apparently in that time apart he rewrote the book without her contributions, managed to get published, wrote and published a sequel, and released his work that came really close to not being finished if he died. He wanted to make it known that if something should happen to him that he wanted the rights of this thing turned over to her, as she knows how it will end, and helped create the story. Fair enough, that actually sounds nice, but then they get to talking. He's apparently writing a comic adaptation, and he invited her to come on board for it. He has a lot of the art done and she was very excited, showing me and explaining to me who all the characters were, their backstories, what she thinks he got wrong in the design. She also read the first book and is telling me which names he changed, what characters were and weren't in their version, the plot differences, and she seems to be having a lot of fun with it. I knew they wrote together, she's mentioned it before, but I had no idea they had this whole universe created. I can tell it was something that was really important to her. She seems like she might take him up on the offer, and this worries me. Every time they've worked on something in the past it leads to sex. And there is a bit of sexual content in their writing. I'm not the jealous type, and I certainly don't want to step on a dream she had buried, but I don't want a repeat of history. I'll admit I decided to snoop on their conversation, and while he seems like he's been on the level and is only really discussing the project, she's pressing for information on his personal life. I wouldn't say in a flirty way, but she asked him if he's seeing anyone now, and when he answered no, he's too busy, that relationships just get in the way, she told him he needs to get back out there. That celibacy isn't a good look on him. We're pretty open about our past sex life, so I know her ex-husband was terrible at it, and once when drunk she said of Chris, don't let a great duck convince you it'll be a great relationship. How the hell do I proceed? I know she was emotionally broken by her ex-husband and that's why she cheated, but she did cheat with this man. I've met him, he seems like an on-the-level guy, but they have a history that tells me something might happen. I want to approach my wife with my concerns, but I don't want to seem like an overbearing, controlling person. I want her to have her creative outlet, because she glows in a way I've never seen before when she talks about this book I barely knew anything about. It feels like it's something that was deeply important to her that she was forced not to be important. I want that for her, but I don't want their interactions to escalate into something more like they have 3 times already. As usual, print out this post, and hand it to your wife, especially since you say you two are so open with each other. You will never be more eloquent than what you just wrote. Good luck. Dang, man, that's a great idea. Turns out to be a terrible idea. Read the updates. It's awful what she's doing to him. I would say a very acceptable boundary to draw is I'm not okay with you making a book with the guy who you left your last husband for. Context though. Her ex-husband cheated and the relationship was a walking corpse for the last 6 months of it, Chris showing up in the last month. Because of my ex-wife I really don't like cheaters in general, but it's fairly easy to rationalize why she did it. Doesn't bring much comfort though when it's literally the same guy. Creating a book together involves a very close professional relationship. Sure, she can say that it's totally over between him and her. But the issue is, are you going to be 100% okay with that? Do you feel like you're going to worry about their frequent messages and if their relationship is staying professional? If you guys have a fight, are you going to be upset if she goes and works on their book together? There's a lot of messy factors going to be involved in this. If you have an issue with it, that's okay. This isn't just some guy she used to be writing partners with. It's a guy she had an intense and sexual relationship with. Once you cross a line with someone, sometimes you can't walk it back. You and her have to realize that collaborating with an ex-partner is a big ask. And if she didn't think to ask if you're okay with it first, that's a bit scary. I mean, add to that the fact that some of the writing is pretty sexual. One thing I plan to say is that I'm really not comfortable with her writing sex scenes with somebody she had sex with. She hasn't agreed to work with him on it, she just seems excited to see the project actually released. She's even slightly mad at him for doing it, seeing as she thought they agreed to abandon it. I've never wronged her in a serious way. Her ex-husband kind of knew that she was cheating, but as he was basically unemployed and might have difficulty staying in the country were they to divorce and had been cheating on her, he just let it go. She's had one night where she spent a couple hours chatting with Chris, but since then things have been normal. She explained the situation with her ex-husband, that she talked with Chris for several hours a night every night, and ex-husband, for self-preservation, didn't confront her over it. She starts behaving in that way, I'll be worried. But that hasn't been the case. Dude, stop being such a doormat. You think you're being Mr. Understanding, but you're just being an idiot. Go talk to your damn wife and set some boundaries instead of tooling around on Reddit. This is ridiculous. Go tell your wife it's not happening, and go from there. Find your bloody spine. The fact we don't live anywhere near him, it's safe to say nothing will happen. That is where you are wrong. Affairs don't only happen on a physical level. They also happen on an emotional level. Please be aware of that. I'm aware, that's why I was keeping an eye on it via email. The best you can do is to be open to her and let her know how you feel about the situation. Talk to her with love in your heart and an understanding mind. Try to see the situation from her perspective and ask her to do the same. Good and honest communication is what prevents shit from happening. Good luck and stay strong. I think it'll be fine. We've never had trouble with communication before. In fact, right after she got the message, the first thing she did was come to me saying, "Hey, he just messaged me, come read it." It was clear she was kind of uncomfortable getting the message and worried about what I might think if I found them talking. So it's not like she's been messaging with him for a while and I discovered it. In fact, I've been keeping an eye on their communications, and so far it's been his letter and then an afternoon of catching up on mostly benign stuff and him talking shop. I just don't want things to escalate, obviously. She is doing a lot of things right already. But you wouldn't be here if you would be comfortable with that all. It doesn't mean that you think that she will cheat on you. You are just uncomfortable, and I want to encourage you to talk with her about this feeling. Thing is, she can only take your feelings into consideration if she knows about them. From all you wrote in your post and your comments, she seems to be a great woman that wants you by her side and that wants to make sure that you are feeling good with what you do and with what she does. She surely already got a feeling that this is not easy for you to handle. She knows as well that the dude is not just any guy she met once but never had a certain connection to. So talk to her, open your heart to her and let her in on how you feel. That doesn't mean that you restrict her on what she does, it only means that you let her in on your thoughts and maybe even your fears. You can do that. She gets home from work shortly. I'll chat with her then. Update: my 44 meters, wife 41F was recently contacted by her ex-boyfriend / co-writer 36 meters, and I've grown a bit nervous. Rant. A few people suggested I post this here as well. Original post here. Edit 1: I'm gathering info, pics and screenshots of her location and speaking with a lawyer tomorrow. Edit 2: I've met with my brother's divorce attorney and we're making plans. I am documenting everything, all texts, her location, where she's claiming to go. I'm confronting her on the 2nd next month after she goes to the hotel with him. I'm making sure I have my ducks in a row and I'm trying not to ruin Christmas forever for the kids. Edit 3: the wave of suicidal thoughts has passed and I thank everyone who left kind messages for me, really got me over the hump. TLDR, they've been screwing. And we're only talking about writing as a cover for being more open. My wife's ex-boyfriend re-emerged in her life asking to work on a mutual writing project that she abandoned years ago that he's achieving financial success with now. I don't know who this woman is. The level of deception is so involved and deliberate that I'm hardly capable of comprehending that I've spent the last 6 years of my life with this person. I decided to sit down with her and talk about how I felt about the situation. I was happy she rediscovered her old writing and expressed that it would be cool for her to explore that as a hobby or a profession, as she's quite good at it and clearly enjoys it. At the time she agreed, and said that Chris, her ex, being around wouldn't be a good thing, saying she was worried that he might be using this as a ploy to talk with her again. When she said these things I was like, okay, cool, she has the same misgivings I do and she's not minimizing my feelings or calling me controlling. In fact, we're on the same page. Oh, how wrong I was. That conversation should have been the end of it, but for some reason my brain started getting weird and I began thinking it was going too well. Yesterday morning when she got in the shower I took her phone and went into it. His number was there and their entire conversation had been deleted. It hadn't been 3 days prior. Red flags. Checked Facebook Messenger, she's talking about her upcoming trip for work which takes her to Vegas. Well, apparently this 2-day-long thing has been cancelled due to COVID, but she's been telling me she's going. They are discussing a hotel a town over and staying there, as well as sending each other people's vacation photos of Vegas, so she'll have stuff to show if I ask. She's talking about restaurants they can go to, how there will be a full moon when he's here, and it would look great on the beach. Oh yeah, and he's not on the East Coast as he presented. He moved back to town recently since the prick actually has enough money to live here. He showed her on Google Maps where he's living and it's taking everything I have not to drive my truck straight into his living room. A month ago she claimed that she had to pick up her brother from the airport. Nope. That was him. The messages don't go back much further than that, but they reference talking about stuff during the years they supposedly haven't had contact. One line I read that he wrote has my heart racing with such ducking madness is from him. Yeah, we're just friends. I haven't seen you in 8 years and I'm inside you 20 minutes off the plane. Best friends maybe. So she's not just planning to duck him, she's been doing it for months. That trip to her mother's a few weeks back where she stayed the night, yeah? I haven't confronted her yet, but her smile fills me with so much hate now. I'm going to try my best and hold back on saying anything until after Christmas. The kids don't need the holiday being a constant reminder of this, but honestly I'm probably gonna snap and confront her today or tomorrow because my ability to swallow this bullshit with a smile is almost impossible. Honestly, I'll be lucky if I can avoid taking a bath with the toaster. I'm losing my mind right now. Update. I'd like to thank everyone who offered advice when I first posted this yesterday. It helped keep my mind away from darker places and it gave me something to do. I've been talking with my brother for support and have continued to monitor their communications. She noticed me acting differently and I told her it was just me having the blues over the anniversary of my aunt's death, which was enough so she didn't start realizing I know all I know. I spent 3 hours today in my car outside of a McDonald's using their Wi-Fi to access her emails and they're using ducking Yahoo Messenger to communicate. She's on this with her tits out in a ton of pics, all of which I'm saving. Real cute. There's one with her post with flowers I got her for her birthday. They've been sexting since like March. Some select quotes from her. I can't just start talking about the book all the time. I talked about you twice when he and I got together. If I start talking about you and the book a lot now, he's gonna think something is up. You need to shave because that stubble is like knives. Almost had to put chapstick on my chin and under my nose. From him, you're getting it right before you leave here. I want him to kiss you after you spent the afternoon swallowing me. Honestly, my compulsion not to beat this man to death is strong. I won't do it, but the fact that he's so purposefully vicious is making me want to wear his teeth as a necklace. When I first read your post, I instantly thought her precious relationship story is full of shit and she's probably a serial cheat. Glad my gut is always right. Their relationship didn't work out because he didn't want to play daddy to her child. That's why she's stringing you along. I'm sorry, and finish her in the courtroom. Her daughter has a mean streak. I know how to deal with it because I've got my own, but in his words, I didn't get this far and live this long for a 6-year-old to tell me what I'm doing with my day. And because of this he won't take her on full time and I don't want her, so enjoy the gutter, woman. And what about her biological father? Do you have any contact with her ex? Because I truly believe she demonized her ex to look good because that's the tactic a lot of serial cheats do. I don't believe he was the cheater she painted him out to be. Maybe compare stories and use him as a character witness? Cause she will go nuclear when you lawyer up. All cheats do. He is a cheater. They got into a huge fight around her daughter's birthday because he casually joked about cheating on her and I heard it from his mouth. It's not a case of either or, they're both just piles of shit. Nice. Hang in there, man. She will be left with nothing and she can maybe write a book about that. You are being treated so unfairly. These are the write-ups that make me think no one can truly be trusted in a relationship. Her daughter is now around 10 or so. While she's gone on her Vegas trip, will you be watching her daughter or is she going to be out of the home? Just wondering, since you will have to explain why you're changing the locks and packing her mother's stuff. I'm sorry, I hope you can hold it together until she is gone. I'm thinking I would not be able to even kiss her or anything else. Yuck. You know you'll be in our thoughts. She'll be with her father then. In either case, I suspect if her daughter comes back at all, it will be to help get her things. I did what had to be done. I'm sorry, and finish her in the courtroom. Finish, with extreme prejudice. Lowlifes. Disgusting scum. Make sure you blindside her good and proper. While you should 100% follow your attorney's advice, there may be a range of possibilities available and you should know what they are. So do look over the divorce sub for insight and ideas that you can bring to the lawyer. The sub will also have tips like opening a separate bank account she doesn't know about and emptying half of the funds there. And other ways to protect yourself if she turns nasty. Steel yourself, this can get tough for a while. This is likely what you can expect. All of these subs are great support and will help you in their unique way. But it sounds like you're way ahead of the game. You just have to stay the course. Follow very closely what your lawyer will say. And adopt a shock and awe approach. She must be blindsided and pay dearly for her horrible actions. You don't have any kids together? So no ties other than marriage? As soon as she leaves, I'd box all her stuff up and put it in storage for her. People say you can't evict her, and they're most likely right. However, nothing says you can't box up all her stuff and move her out. If she wants to get a lawyer and get some guys and bring her stuff back, well, that's on her. It's petty and mean, but so is everything you describe her doing. You could take the high road and be the better person, or you could go scorched earth. Personally, I say let it all burn. It's going to burn. Just remember, the courts are highly biased against men. I've worked in law offices that handle divorces, and I can say that it's certain there is a strong bias. You can't afford to lose your temper, at all, because anything you say in anger is going to sound a million times worse than what she has done. Keep a level head, play the long game. I'm not the screaming, raging type, and I'm recording everything. As I'm hyper aware of myself in front of cameras, I'll be more cordial than normal. Not giving her the chance to villainize me. Also, keep in mind that she's not above lying about what you do and how you behave. She lied to your face habitually for a while already, she'll certainly lie about you as well. Yep, duck the high road. Drag her into the swamp. Brother once a cheater, always a cheater. If you check with her ex-husband, this woman lied from the time you guys got together. You need to go scorch earth and let everyone know. She is the worst of the worst. Get tested for STDs ASAP. Where you can burn her world down, do it. She married you with bad intentions, which makes her your enemy. Good luck. She's done, my friend. She will regret ever meeting me before this is over. Confronted her today. I've never seen someone implode like this. Progress. Last post. A heads up, I began writing this the day it happened and I'm not rewriting it, so if some of my feelings don't reflect exactly what my comments were saying in the last couple of days, that's why. I've got some work to do today, so I might not respond to anything for quite some time. TLDR, I confronted her, she tried to lie, presented evidence, still tried to lie, she's currently staying at her parents' and trying to lie. I never want to go through anything like this ever again. This was the single most difficult thing I've ever had to do, and I'm twitching like a tweaker every so often now. She left for either work or Chris's today, not really sure where she went, but she was gone. Tried to check her location and either she turned off locations or my phone was giving me issues. I didn't have the means to serve her, that comes later this week, but I had to confront her before she realized what I was doing so she wouldn't have any more time to formulate some working lies. Heard my garage door opening and turned the camera on. She comes in completely oblivious. I tell her she ought to sit down because we've got to talk. Deer in the headlights look, but she sits down and asks me what's wrong. I ask, why don't you tell me? She plays dumb, but I see she knows she's been found out. She asks me again what's wrong. I ask her what's really up with Chris. She says nothing, she hasn't heard from him. I redirect and decide to not confront her directly and tell her that I'm uncomfortable with her working with him and that it's not something I can get past. She's 100% instantly agreeable and asks me very nervously why I changed my mind so quickly and why I'm acting the way I am. I just shake my head and say something like, I wanted to be understanding about it but I got weird vibes from him and I'd prefer they wouldn't talk. She insists that he doesn't mean anything to her anymore, that she was just happy to see the book get made. I told her that he basically stole from her and she's being way too understanding about that fact. That she ought to sue him over it, and she agrees with me. By now she's probably thinking she got out of this and is going to break it off with Chris the minute she gets a second to do so. But then I tell her the whole thing has really stressed me out and I'm gonna take next week out of work. I told her that I talked with my ex and she agreed to keep my son that weekend so I could go to Vegas with her. That's why I was talking to my ex for so long the other day, working out the details of her taking my son, or at least that's what I'd have her think. Deadpan stare. I start talking about how COVID has shut down a lot of stuff and I'm not even sure what's open in Vegas. She cuts me off and tells me that it was actually cancelled today. The conversation from here on goes like this, paraphrased of course. Me, it got cancelled last month. Her, no, he told us today because he wasn't sure whether or not it was off until today. Me, I know it got cancelled last month. Her, what are you doing? Why are you telling me you want to go and then telling me it's cancelled? I don't get what you're doing. Me, it was cancelled last month. What were you gonna do if I didn't ask about it? Her, you're freaking me out. It was cancelled today. Me, what were you going to do in town name where her hotel is? Her, what are you accusing me of? Me, how long have you and Chris been back together? Her, we haven't done anything. Did he tell you we were? Me, don't lie to me. I don't want to read off everything he texted. It almost made me throw up doing it the first time. I can't believe you do this. Her, I love you, I'm sorry, he's been texting me a lot lately and saying a lot of messed up stuff and I don't know how to deal with it. I wanted to tell you this but I was afraid you'd do what you're doing now. I was just hoping he'd stop on his own. Me, you didn't see him for 8 years and 20 minutes after he got off the plane you had sex with him. Her, what plane? What are you reading? Me, he lives on street name. You wanna stop this? Just admit what you did so we can move forward with this. Why did you tell me he lived in East Coast? Her, did he say something to you? He lies constantly, it's part of the reason why we broke up. I told you that. I knew I shouldn't have responded to his messages, it's always drama with him. All his messages were fine, but he started with the missing me stuff again like always. I was going to tell you. Me, he wanted you to come home and kiss me after you were going down on him. I read your messages, I saw them in your email and in your texts. You're cheating on me and I want you out of this house today. Her, what? I'm not cheating on you. If you don't want him around I'll tell him to get lost, but honey, I'm not cheating on you. Is that what he told you? He's lying. Me, stop it. I told you I went in your messages on your phone. You're going to get your stuff and you're going to go to your parents. I made copies of your emails and screenshots from your texts. I don't want to show them what you two say to each other, but if you're going to keep lying to my face I will. We're done, go get your stuff. She tried even in the face of all that to play stupid and lie, but finally tired of it I broke out my copies of their texts and handed them to her. She looked at them for 2 seconds and then broke down crying hard. Like I've never seen her this devastated by anything. I even felt bad for her for a little while. She said she was sorry that it got out of hand and she wanted to put the brakes on it, but he had gotten possessive and was threatening to expose her if she ended it with him. I told her that none of that was in their texts and that she's still lying to me. She was going to go off and spend the weekend with him. She then told me it's done between them and she'll make him go away, she won't ever talk to him again. I told her I don't care what she does, but I've been talking to a lawyer and the divorce papers will be ready soon. At this point she explodes and repeats, "You've been talking to a lawyer?" Like 4 or 5 times, and honestly I was ready to call the cops because she's closing in on me and really screaming now. I tell her to calm down, that I have a camera going. She then continues to break down and not resemble anyone I've ever met before. Kept saying stuff like, "You just planned all this out." Smiling to my face, just planning this all out. Which every time she did I responded with the same, "Well, look at what you've been planning," and smiling to my face while you're out doing sex acts. I asked her why she'd do this to us, and at first she couldn't give me a straight answer. She tried to tell me it was meaningless sex, so I responded with, "Oh, so you ruined us for no reason then? That's great." After a bit she sort of got quieter, and I don't know if she was being honest or just trying to hurt me, but apparently she really messed up with him in her eyes. She called him her soulmate and I nearly started breaking stuff. I asked her why she just didn't ditch me for him in the beginning. I would have understood then, and she says she just needed to get away from him because she knew how bad she'd look to her family if she brought him back around. Apparently they didn't like him either. She also said that she could never and can never actually be with him because her ex and daughter would fight her on this. So going back to him legitimately was never an option. She then said she was sorry and seemed to be in disbelief with how final I was with everything. She told me how much of a mistake it was, how much she would change and do whatever I wanted her to just to fix the situation. I told her no. She then told me we weren't getting a divorce because she can make amends for this. I told her there was nothing she could do to earn my forgiveness. I will not forgive this ever, and somehow she had the gall to be shocked by this. I told her then I opened an account in another bank and moved half from the joint account into it this morning, and that the rest is hers. She can either get it herself or I can get it for her, but the account is getting closed. She just nodded along and said we'd probably both have to go to the bank together to close it. She went and started packing her clothes up, peacefully, crying a little and oddly enough making threats every so often that she had better not have anything missing. I let it roll off my shoulder and told her to take pics of how she left her things and daughter's things, so when she comes back she'll see I didn't touch anything. Her folks had been contacted and they're in disbelief. They're both surprised that Chris is even a factor in any of this and spent time apologizing to me, and soon after she was out of my house. The next day STBX hit my phone with so many "I love you, I'm sorry, we can fix this" texts that I contemplated flushing my phone. I wanted to just turn it off, but my ex-wife had my son, so I needed it on just in case of an emergency or a change in plans when he was coming home. So I just started responding to her texts by sending screenshots of the worst parts of their conversation and saying nothing of my own. Ex returned with my son and brought dinner from my favorite Chinese place. I didn't give my son the exact reason when I told him, but he asked flat out whether she cheated because it was so sudden, and I told him he was right without elaborating. They stayed for a while before returning home, and I've just been kind of floating around the house trying to keep it together. It's been like 2 or 3 days since I began writing this, and I'm off to the gym and then my lawyers. This thing is already way too long and things are updating so rapidly that I could be typing forever and never finish. My STBX's ex-husband is going to come by and collect his daughter's things, and I'll explain to her the best I can that if she ever needs me I'm just a phone call away. I'm also contemplating telling her ex that she ran around with Chris on him as well, because she said many times he doesn't know. But maybe I won't accomplish anything really. Anyway, first fight has been fought and it looks like I'm winning as much as one can win given the circumstances. Part of me wants to confront Chris, but I'm smart enough that all that would be a waste of time and energy. Time better spent working or hitting the gym or finding some way to thank my ex-wife for being an absolute MVP in my corner through this. Anyway, that's all I got for now. Sorry if this is disjointed, but it's taken me a couple days to write, and of course developments keep happening. Hey man, let me tell you something. You are a badass. I know it hurts, and you will still need time to grieve properly and overcome this by yourself. But, to be honest, I think the worst part is over. You stood your ground, loved yourself first, had self-respect first. You didn't do anything you might regret, even though after reading the messages, you might as well have done. Best of luck, you got this. I agree. Also, he was right to tell his son about the cheating in a simple and direct way. So his son learns that cheating is not acceptable and he won't tolerate it later in life. I'm always fascinated by the sexual pull one person can have over another. That would make someone completely destroy their lives for a taste. Part of me wants to confront Chris, but I'm smart enough that all that would be a waste of time and energy. The guy is a complete worm. Why soil the bottom of your boot with his entrails and possibly get a police record? Not worthy of even an afterthought. I was tempted to say there is no winning in these things, only surviving it with different levels of burn wounds, but getting past her betrayal and back on track to a good, rewarding life is definitely a victory. This Chris guy is a dirtball and doesn't deserve your time. My opinion. Don't go out of your way to confront him, not worth the effort. But if he comes at you, you finish it. In the grand scheme of things, you can be pissed at the AP all you want, but 95% of the blame resides with his STBX. She's the one that put her in position for this to happen and the one that not only let it happen but also encouraged it. She tells you he's her soulmate, then thinks things can continue with you. I can't be with him because people don't like him, but I love him, so we still good, right? Wow. Soulmate. These two are soul dead. Pure sociopath. They deserve each other. Let them both be in misery. Be glad that you're shedding yourself of that. Since you record that, I would organize a movie night with her family, daughter to show them the highlights of an affair. After the divorce, of course. The daughter doesn't deserve to see her mother's antics. She only needs to know that she cheated and with that guy that she already hates. Showing more is only going to punish the daughter, not the cheater. Be cautious, it's pretty well documented around these parts that, once cornered, they can drop every ounce of the deception and show you the real beast that's been hiding behind that nice veneer all along. My God. The literal second after he realized that I knew that I had proof, he dropped the charade, his face changed, and I understood that the person I'd known for 12 years was a false front made up to help a narcissist get through life. He became an absolute terror after that, and a nightmare when it came to attorneys and legal wrangling. Hold the high moral ground, buddy. Please just keep that in mind. I'm fully expecting what you just described. Complete self-preservation, no acknowledgement of my feelings, just trying to lie and then bury this. How I didn't see this coming, I'll never know. Her justification for why she was not going to leave you was all a list of reasons why she couldn't be with him. That's an astonishing sociopath way of thinking that would convince you. That stuck out to me too. I was like, wow, she desperately wants to be with this guy. Now she's pretending that she actually cares about Op. And not doing a very good job of pretending. Agreed. Amazing that the image Op had of her was of a caring woman. There's quite a disconnect there. The one thing a lot of betrayed husbands do is help hide the STBXW shameful, deceitful ways. Don't make my mistake. She'll fall on her ex about you falsely accusing her and Chris. So your best bet is to tell her ex that you also found out that she cheated on the ex with Chris. Since it's normal to give females 50% of all your assets. Put her book that Chris has confessed to publishing as part of Marshall assets. She's gonna try to gut you financially anyway. Might as well do the same to her. Good luck and move on. Yeah, I'll probably end up doing that. I wanted to be above doing that, but if I can ruin him, may as well take that shot. Don't think of it as ruining him. Keep above the emotion. By divorce she will take a large amount of financial pieces you own. If she has no compunctions about that, then you should clearly list the financial assets she has. The lawyers will negotiate all of this for you. You do not have to go after him, you are just informing your lawyer of all assets and they will do the work. That's why you pay them. On an emotional note, duck him. Once divorce is final, it might be fun to inform his publishing company of this. They probably won't want to take a hit in the public eye for empowering and continuing to publish books from a known adulterer. Knowing the sort of stuff he writes, exposure like this would make him a damn rock star. Not going to go that route. 3-month progression update. Update. Just before Christmas last year, a little over 2 months ago, I discovered that my wife had been cheating on me with an old boyfriend. They had planned for a romantic weekend together, which I ruined for them when I confronted her. My last post was this: TLDR crazy drama has ended, still seeing my stepdaughter, made an unlikely friend in my soon-to-be ex's ex-son is soldiering on, and my ex-wife has kept this walking corpse from falling over. This will be long. So as an update, I've mostly gone no contact with my STB ex. I tried just communicating with her through my lawyer if we had a real reason to talk, but that made me feel like a child that was avoiding confrontation, even if that wasn't the case, and I decided to speak with her myself a few times. If you've been following the lengthy comment streams from my previous posts, you already know what was discussed, but I'll write everything here as if it's the first time I'm doing it. The STBX at first was all over the place with how she talked about Chris. One minute he was her soulmate and the one that got away, the next he was a predator that would not leave her alone. Our family and friends have all heard the truth by now, and most of them have taken my side on the matter. Given the details I provided in my lengthy FB post, there was little room to side with her anyhow. She's since moved into her parents' for the time being, and I remained in my home. It was acquired many years before I even met her, so that's not even an issue divorce-wise. Strangely enough, Chris, the AP, decided to write me this huge harangue of a letter. For what reason, God only knows. I got the impression from it that she must have dumped him in anger shortly after I gave her the boot, because it's laden with stuff like we were repairing our relationship when you stole her from me. I've loved her for X amount of years, so don't post stuff online about how I'm a cheat. It really made me see red, and I wanted to do the man some serious physical harm, but once again I saw reason. Life has been pretty lonely in this house since she and my stepdaughter moved. The stepdaughter's room is still empty, and I have to leave the door closed because seeing it empty always hurts me, and I can't bring myself to do anything with it yet. She has a father, and he's a good dad, and because of him I still see her once during the week. I take her for bike rides or we go grab something to eat together. I asked her once if she felt comfortable eating at my house, and the poor thing just started crying. She loves her grandparents but doesn't like living with them, so she's been spending more time with her father. Her old man has invited me over a couple times for a beer. We had a few conversations about our mutual ex and Chris. I think I mentioned in the comments on my last post, but he knew the entire time she was cheating on him. I see my son and my ex-wife a lot more now. One of my weekdays lines up with their schedule, so I'll stop in for dinner, and I've been keeping him an extra day for my weekends, and she will generally join us for dinner on Friday night. I've asked my son if he wants to talk about how he feels concerning my upcoming divorce, and he's not saying it so much, but he's hurting. The first couple of times he just got this far off stare and was like, I don't want to even think about her. And that he loved her and didn't expect her of all people to do this to him. And it really hit me when he said that. We always think about how someone's affair does to us, like it's an act of malice against us, but what she did to me, coming from him, hurt more than anything she could have ever done to me. I've discussed therapy with him and his mom, but he insists he's alright, and if he feels he can't handle it, he'll talk to us. He's a mature kid and I trust his judgment, usually pretty upfront with how he's doing. He and I actually for the first time in private discussed the divorce between his mother and I and the reasons behind it. I really didn't want to at first, as he is currently raging about adultery and he has a great relationship with his mom. But he was asking about it, so I opted for polite honesty. I told him his mother hurt me just as much, but what she did was just a very poor choice, and that I'm not upset about it anymore, but it took a while. Speaking of my ex-wife, she's had my back through much of this. She's pretty much the reason I started having dinner with them one night during the week and keeping my son longer, because she insists I'll do better to not be constantly alone in that house. A lot of people have suggested that she and I reunite. If I was to ever come to that decision, I would want to wait to be done with some therapy sessions, perhaps couples therapy if she was anywhere in this ballpark. We did briefly discuss our own divorce and the infidelity that led to it. I've moved past it and don't feel too fazed by it anymore, but she talks about it like she just got caught. It's not the first time I've done so, but I told her that I forgive her for it. I even added this time that giving more consideration to how she described the encounter, it's likely she was preyed on by some creep because she had too much to drink. This wasn't a guy she knew very well and had only seen around her place of work a few times, as, if I'm remembering this right, either didn't work in her area or worked at a separate location. In either case, she has literally not seen him since like a few days after it happened. It's a little tough thinking about that too, because even though it doesn't bother me on a regular basis anymore, the fact of the matter is I was really loving my life up until she broke the bad news to me. The STBX kind of smoothed things over for me when that relationship started, but once again, right as I'm feeling my life is great and I'm happy, infidelity messes that up for me. Kind of makes me really unwilling to even consider another relationship if this is what all my time and effort leads to. All that said, I'm taking a trip to Disney World this July to try and wash my mind of all this. Originally it was supposed to be me, the ex-wife, and my son, but I've managed to talk the STBX into allowing my stepdaughter to come along so she won't feel excluded. She'll probably just use the time to bang her next unfortunate soul, but that's not my problem anymore. I feel sorry for your stepdaughter, the part when you said she started crying. It's a shame cheaters are so selfish they never consider everyone who is affected by their backstabbing actions. Does the ex still want to reconcile? My soon-to-be ex tried to ask for reconciliation and did so until I stopped answering my phone. My son's mother, she hasn't said she wants to if she does want to. I'm not defending the ex-wife, but there is a big discrepancy between that infidelity and STBXW's. Ex-wife was taken advantage of, not defending her still a cheater, whereas STBX was cold and calculated. Judging by Ops comments in his old posts, ex-wife has gone completely celibate in her guilt. I'm not saying he should get back with her, but with major therapy they could cohabitate again. They by all accounts had the perfect marriage barring the incident. Ops should definitely rebound first in my opinion. I divorced my ex for what she did and I'm not simping for saying I might have been hasty with the divorce. People duck up, they're human. A guy gets into a heated argument, gets into a fight and accidentally kills someone, he's not anywhere close to as bad as a serial killer. I forgave her for what she did and in the last 5 years she's been nothing but a good mom to my kid. What she did to me was ducked up and there were consequences for it. That doesn't make her even close to equal to my latest ex. First wife made a really stupid choice and regretted it, second wife plotted against me, laughed at me, and never apologized for it. Circumstances matter. Tell her you were considering reconciliation until Chris sent you that letter. That it showed that reconciliation can never happen. Really screw Chris over in her eyes. I don't even know if that would do anything to her at all. I have all the usual notions, like I want to ask her why she did this to me and actually get a real honest answer, but that's only the emotional child in me screaming he wants answers to questions that don't even matter anymore. The STBXW, this was the same woman that shamelessly cheated, lied again and again and still waffles between he's my soulmate and he preyed on me when I was weak, right? The same STBX that admitted that your relationship was partly a smokescreen so she could be with the guy she cheated with because she couldn't be with him openly because her family would never accept him cause he is such a scumbag, right? The same STBXW that you caught sending and receiving texts from this guy, 2 of which stick out in particular. One was, well, we haven't seen each other in years and 20 minutes after I get off the plane I'm inside you. Another one was, go home and give your husband a huge, sloppy kiss. I've been in your mouth all day and I want to know you did that with me still on your tongue. This is the same soon-to-be ex, correct? Please keep the no contact at 100%. This woman has no morals and zero conscience. Glad to hear you are doing well, but for the love of all that is holy, do not get back with either woman. Your first ex seems better and seems supportive, even though she still cheated, and you guys will make good friends and co-parents. Leave it there. And leave the crazy STBX alone. You are doing the right thing. Are you under the impression that I'm having second thoughts about the STBXW? Because there is no way in hell reconciliation is even considered in her situation. I've slept with her twice since I found out and was keeping it a secret, and both of those times I felt like peeling my skin off because I touched her. My son's mother, on the other hand. I'm not pursuing her at all, but I am keeping an open mind about things down the road. That's a non-issue, as I've got a lot of work to do on myself to find my new purpose. I guess I interpreted something you wrote as you saying there was a chance of reconciliation, but then you mentioned the North Carolina you had been going for a while now. I just remember your story because your STBXW lied and did all these weird things with the Chris guy. Those two texts from him in particular stuck in my head. So yes, I'm happy for you that you have no intention of taking her back. Good for you. I was also saddened to hear about how this has affected your stepdaughter, but you seem to be handling it really well. It's clear you both love each other and she views you as a father. Your son's mom sounds like she is being a great source of support. I was just a bit concerned because in moments of vulnerability we can find ourselves back with someone we have no business getting back with. That doesn't mean you both can't have a great relationship and be great co-parents. Hell, do the FWB thing if you can keep it casual, just don't get married again. I'm glad to hear things have worked out as well as can be expected. Best of luck. My stepdaughter is always going to be my princess. I don't care what I've got to do, I will find ways to let her know she's loved. I feel so terrible for her too, and everyone else involved in this mess. My mother, an elderly woman who has never had a bad word to say about anyone, randomly told me when I was taking her grocery shopping, that if STBXW was here with us she'd strangle her. She was dead serious too. To see someone as kindly and sweet as my mom talk like this, it hurts. I couldn't FWB my ex-wife. I respect her way too much for that. And she wouldn't go for that either. More than that, I don't know if it was the cheating that did it or me getting married to another woman, but I kind of stopped seeing her as a sexual being. The affection and care I have for her now kind of feels like how you love a close family member. Should be divorced by July and I cannot wait. Update. Hello again everyone, it's about 6 months since my first post here. If anyone's interested in reading stupidity and naivety, here is my original post. TLDR still seeing my stepdaughter, son is in therapy/counseling, enjoying a shadow of an old family life. In short, out of the blue one day my wife of 5 years claimed an ex-boyfriend she used to write with suddenly appeared again wanting to know if she could work on an old mutual project together. Well, as you might have guessed, she was having an affair that went back for quite a long time. Their dirty emails to each other disgusted me as they were extremely, almost intentionally hurtful. It wasn't bad enough for her to cheat on me, but he said he wanted her to go home and greet me filled with him, so to speak. I held my shit together for the kids for Christmas. She has a daughter and I have a son. I confronted her, threw her out and went as no contact as I possibly could. Harry P. Chris sent me a few messages after the fact claiming that I have no reason to be upset because in his eyes I stole her from him, and he'd been holding this one-sided grudge for the last 5 years and talked as if we had been enemies for quite some time. In short, my STBX's family never approved of him, so she dumped him. She went on to claim they were soulmates and that's why she couldn't turn him away. Well, I've been keeping my health, working out, continuing to work from home, but that'll be over soon. I've kept contact with my stepdaughter through her grandparents and her biological father, whom she also cheated on with this man. Though he's cheated on my STBX multiple times, he's an alright guy to have a beer with, and for all his faults he seems like a good dad. I see her twice a week now, never overnight, and even still I've kept her former room empty because it's too depressing to me to consider doing anything else with it. She's been my princess, and she's always excited when she comes to visit or I show up to take her to dinner or for bike rides. After a bit my son has decided that he thinks he could benefit from therapy and has been seeing a doctor. His mother, my first wife, and I have been keeping a close eye on him as he was pretty close to his stepmother. She's tried to contact him and apologize, but he doesn't want to speak to her. He began getting impulsive and had bouts of angry outbursts unrelated to her, and it was then I asked him if he thought he might do well with therapy. He told me how betrayed he felt by what she'd done, that he hated her, he missed his stepsister, and he wanted everything to just be erased, and I really felt for him. I don't think we've talked heart to heart or hugged one another in our entire lives more than we have in the past few months. His mother has really been at my side through most of this, and we've gotten a lot closer too. At first she was inviting me over for dinner a couple days a week because she thought it was unhealthy for me to spend so much time alone in an empty house. I'm around steadily more now, and many nights a week we eat dinner like a family. My folks and her folks have both taken notice of this and have both been asking us whether or not, seeing as things are getting on so well, if we'd consider reconciling. We said we are both happy with things as they are, but knowing everyone is talking about us makes it difficult for us not to talk about it ourselves. Minus the physical affection, we're basically acting really similar toward one another like we did when we were married, which is comforting and warm, but that's soon going to get to a place where it needs a good long talk about. All that's been said thus far is nothing is going to be attempted or even discussed until our son's life has normalized. These changes hurt him. As for my STBX and how things are going on that front, from what I've learned, she's just bought herself a condo and moving on with her life. Her mother and father are deeply ashamed of what she's done, and in their words, my stepdaughter is frequently back talking to her mom. I'd like to report to you all that she's gravely suffering or is a weeping mess, but nope, STBX seems like she's off to go ruin another guy's life. I did however cross paths with Chris at a grocery store last month. He turned pale white and I pointed him out to my brother, which I shouldn't have done. He started following him around and shouting variations of ducking Prince Charming over here. Fat loser's gonna eat both those Red Barons tonight before he starts texting your wife, guys. I forced us to leave and will be shopping elsewhere, though I did get a good laugh out of it. Brother, you better buy your brother some Red Baron pizza because he's a damn king with that. I'm dying here. Ha 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 ha. Glad to hear your family's healing. You'll get through this, give it time. You stay there for your kids. Both of them. Good luck. That's a good brother right there. Duck that guy. Well, even if you didn't get to drive through his living room, you got to have a little fun. Does your son ever go visit his stepsister? His mother and I arrange it so he can come along with us most of the time. They played stuff like Minecraft together. I feel so bad for them. At least if they were blood related they could stick together through this. Yeah, I hear you. Hopefully spending some time with her will help him get through this crap. Good luck to all of you. Maybe you and his mom can have some type of relationship that keeps you with him more. He's with me 3 days a week now, and I'm over their house 1 to 2 times a week, so I'm almost seeing him every day now, which is the most positive thing that's come out of this. There is a silver lining in everything. Be wary about getting back with your XW. If you do go that route, make sure there are firm boundaries. And therapy. Lots of therapy to discuss the possibility of getting back together. The anger, hurt, and mistrust aren't just going to go away. I don't understand now that everything's out in the open. Why can't she get back to this Chris guy if they are soulmates? She would find another guy and then cheat on him with that Chris guy again. Is that Chris guy completely broke? Is she trying to get as much as she can suck off other guys before permanently going back with Chris? I just never understood what goes through their mind. I suspect she loves this human trash can, but her father hates him, so no dice. Her father is an actual ship captain, or was rather. He's a good guy, but what he says is law. Chris rubbed him the wrong way for some reason and he's not quiet about it. Chris isn't broke, he owns a house at least, or he's renting it. Either way it's the decent part of town, so whatever it is ain't cheap. Why's still waiting for her dad's approval? Is she expecting some kind of inheritance from her dad? She anyway ruined her relationships for this Chris guy. What was her dad's reaction? Her father casts a shadow. He's not abusive or anything, but he's a very, things run how I say they run kind of guy. He is quite wealthy, but I don't think that's the reason she doesn't want to upset him. He's very vocal about what he doesn't like, so her dating a guy he didn't like, he'd have never gotten over it. In one of his crazy jealous letters, Chris said something like, she picked me because I'm safe, and that she broke up with him because she had to put her toys away before daddy came home. Update somewhat, just digging around on an old laptop and came across this gem of conversation. Update. I've changed the names. But here is basically a cut and paste version of how deceitful these two were. My original story is here. Ex-wife. I'm not sure if I'm being paranoid, but I feel like my husband is growing suspicious. I don't know what I should do. I'm trying to act normal, but I'm really starting to worry. I'm probably just paranoid. He's not tracking my phone or computer or anything. He does try to look over my shoulder or take peeks at my screen though. I don't stop him when he does. X. All the times he has peeked, we weren't talking about anything worth suspicion. Chris. I think the best way to go about this is to not change your routine. If you get any more distant he might catch on, but if you become too friendly, same logic applies. If you could do anything, I would say perhaps talk about the story in a completely professional way and exclude me from it when you do. So it will seem more like a business-friendly relationship rather than an old boyfriend. But I don't know him. I've met him that one time. Usually I have the honor of sizing up the other half's mental capacity, but I'm flying blind with this and completely trusting you. I say you remain exactly as you are, no change in routine unless you think the book suggestion works. My ex. Okay, that's exactly what I was thinking. Good. He can be a genius or a complete idiot. And he is very reserved, so sometimes his body language is hard to read. But yes, I need to start talking about the book, because I think he's wondering why I'm on here all the time with you. I haven't mentioned the book at all. Chris. Make an offhand remark. Oh, he's goddamn whining about his boyfriend again. He needs to leave the prick, lol. I know he lives in Wisconsin. Stop whining about it, lol. My ex. No, he thinks you're still married and have a son. And you're one of my old writing friends. That's pretty much all I've said about you aside from our fling at the end of her ex-husband's name. Chris. Okay, well, if you have to or the subject gets brought up, think of some small romantic cheesy gesture I just did for my wife and I say I look like a sissy for it, lol. The best way I'm not a threat is if my family and yours are somewhat relatable. The more domestic I appear, the better. My ex. Yeah, I agree, but I don't want to start talking about you lots either. I haven't in the past, why should I now? If he asks, I'll make up stuff on the fly. Chris. Exactly. My ex. I think I'll start getting excited about the book now. That way if I seem giddy or stressed I can use that as an excuse. Chris. When you do, mention my wife is doing concept art for it and that's one of the reasons it excites you. It is not a stretch, it establishes I am domestic and that she is well aware of my activities, and if she's not worried, why should he be? My ex. Yeah, I see that. Okay, I can handle this. It's probably all in my own head anyways. Chris. Yes, it probably is. If an accusation comes at all, just have something ready like, no, oh my god, he's married and he's retardedly obsessed with his wife. He was telling me all his pet names and I almost signed off, lol. My ex. Lol, okay. Chris. Sorry, I have a lot of ready-made plots. The Smurf is usually checking my phone, there's nothing. My ex. We're not new at this. Chris. Well, it won't be nearly as complicated, seeing as any change in your behavior will be only momentary. My ex. True, I think I can do this. Chris. You'll be fine, we've done it before. My ex. No, I know I can do this. Chris. You've got it. My ex. In my obsessive-compulsive nature, it is taking like everything in me to not make a list of things to do before our adventure, lol. I usually hide all my flaws, but no, you get to see and hear about all of them, lol. You poor thing, you must think him neurotic. Chris. I like seeing this side of you. I don't think you're neurotic, but the paranoia, the planning, your excitement makes me feel good that I can still excite you this much. My ex. For your sake, I'll let you take credit for most of that then. I'm paranoid without reason also, but you've most certainly elevated it to a new level. Do you want this poison in your life? I threw her out months ago. I found this afternoon while going through some of the stuff she didn't take with her. Just shows you how stupid, selfish, and childish they were. You're final yet? On the 26th this ride is finally over. Are you doing okay? Yeah, I'm doing great. I just thought I've shared everything else of interest, why not the actual planning between them? Holy crap. Glad to hear you got rid of her. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing just fine. I'm gonna be real honest, computer forensics was my favorite class at school. I always had a good time getting data bit by bit and figure out what it was. That being said, I'm an IT security consultant now. People really don't know how much data they are leaving around on their devices, and no, running a magnet over the hard drive won't work anymore. It is truly disturbing to see what people will talk about while they are betraying another, whether it be a corporate thing or a personal thing. If you can talk yourself into it, there's not a lot of things you won't do. Shitty you had to see the exact level of depravity your partner stooped to this much later. I mean, I read other conversations between them, but this one sounds like the earliest of them. Yeah, plotting it out and bragging about it. Ducking scummy. Sorry you had to deal with that level of garbage. Hopefully you're in an at-fault state and can use this for protection. I live in California, you're basically rewarded for being a degenerate here. Sorry 2x then. You couldn't drag me to California. Not saying my state is perfect, because it's not, but eesh. California, if it wasn't for the beach sunsets and my son, I'd have been gone a decade ago. I've got several friends the same way, trapped by kids in a state going crazy. I love my son to death. I don't really feel trapped as I grew up here, but when he was 10 I kind of realized how bad this place is. But by that time he and my mom were divorced and I couldn't very well ask her to move away with or for me. I just have some buddies who were Marines/Navy who married that California girl, had a California baby, and got a California divorce. They really want to go home, but they are staying for their kids. Tough for all, I assume. Really a shame. I love visiting. It's beautiful country. I have a couple friends like that. Thanks for posting this exchange. Chris sounds very much like a pretentious writer type who thinks they are smarter than everyone because they read obscure books. Both he and your ex have a very poor impression of you. She actually referred to you as a complete idiot, so you are showing the genius side of you to not even give her a second chance. In your next conversation with her you may want to bring up why she would even want to be with a man she considers a complete idiot. I hope your ex-in-laws and stepdaughter will be fully honest with any man your ex tries to become involved with in the future. Your ex has some personality issues that need to be addressed, but she is just moving on without any self-reflection, it appears. Maybe you can be a good influence on your stepdaughter to prevent her from going down a similar road. My stepdaughter's father and I are in regular communication now and we're doing the best we can for her. Even my son is making sure to call her frequently to let her know her big brother is still her big brother. I want my STBXW to get help, but I can't be involved in that. Holy shit. This AP demonstrates at every turn that this is not his first rodeo. It's glaringly obvious that he wants to keep the affair as is, no interest in her, only concern over getting caught and losing his supply. Your wife lowered her standards all the way down to this bottom feeder. I will never understand cheaters. It's like watching someone trying to become rich at the roulette wheel. With each spin they forfeit more and more of the thing they are chasing. Dopes. No, he's very much in love with her. He even wrote me an angry letter after the discovery saying things like she should have been my wife, but you took that from me, and I was forced into sneaking around with her like this. This was how I had to see the woman I loved in any capacity. She ghosted me when she started dating you, so don't go to this pity party that I stole her. You stole her. You should have replied if she loved you as much as you love her, she would have married you. She won't have kept you as a side fun. If I wanted to antagonize him I'd say, well, I'm out of the picture now. What's that? She hasn't taken you back yet? Oh buddy, my heart goes out to you. Exactly. Your ex keeps telling you that Chris got some kind of hold over her. I think it's the other way around. I believe Chris is going to be her end-of-life companion. Once she goes through a few more husbands, she is going to settle with Chris. Because she knows he would be more loyal than a dog. The poor guy doesn't even know how he is being played. If he strikes it rich with these books she'll definitely shack up with him. And on the day that happens I start naming names. He is a big shot writer. Does he have any publications? He does, but it's self-pub. Is he any good? I wouldn't hold my breath. I'm not reading it lol. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.